National Institutes of Health, National Cancer Institute, merging HINTS data, basic statistical analysis.
Hello again. So, in the previous videos, I showed you how to combine two iterations of HINTS data. We checked the data, everything looked accurate. The weights are set up correctly, and the new variable, the new survey variable we created, was there. So, now we're ready to do our statistical modeling. Now I want to show you how to use proc survey freq. This is a SAS procedure we'll use to analyze data that uses a complex sampling method like HINTS. We're going to incorporate the 100 jackknife replicate weights, so that's why we need this word var method. The sampling method we chose calls for the jackknife option as our variance estimation method, or var method. In the program, we set var method to equal jackknife. Keep in mind, we created one final sample weight by merging across the two iterations. We called it NWGT0, and of course, there's the command word. We want to incorporate the 100 replicate weights that we created. Here, we have to specify the correct degrees of freedom with the command \df equals. In this case, when we're using replicate weights, it's always going to be 49 times the number of iterations of HINTS data you're using. In our case, we're using 2 iterations of HINTS data, so 49 times 2 equals 98. We do need to apply a jackknife adjustment factor, so we've entered JK co Fs equals 0.98. That's what that coefficient is there. And then, under the table statement command, we're going to add 2 HINTS variable names to create a cross-tabulation table. First, I'm going to cross 2 variables, Seek Health Info by survey year. Next, I'm going to test whether or not there's a relationship between those variables using the walled chi-square test, which is exactly what you see here. By default, the null hypothesis is that there is no association between our 2 variables of interest. I added some other commands here as well. When I create the output, I want to show the row percentages and the column percentages and do a chi-square test. But I'm not asking for the total percentages because I find that will make the table a little bit harder to interpret. But it's up to the user to decide which values to show or not show. So, like typical SAS, you want to highlight all of your syntax, submit it, and then wait for it to run. You can see we're now in our output window and can verify the correct number of respondents, 6,962. You can see I incorporated our 100 jackknife replicate weights, and of course, here's our cross-tabulation table of Seek Health Info by survey. Our first variable is, did you ever seek health information? So, either yes or no. And then, of course, the question is, which iteration did you come from? Were you HINTS 4 cycle 4 or HINTS 5 cycle 1? You can see the frequencies, unweighted frequencies, weighted frequencies, and percentages for each of our outcomes as a row percentage or column percentage. And then, of course, we have our walled chi-square test down here. You can see the value. You can see it has 1 degree of freedom. Since we're analyzing 2 independent variables, each with 2 levels, the degree of freedom is 1. We have 98 degrees of freedom for the denominator, given that we had 2 iterations with 50 replicate weights in each iteration. And then we have a p-value associated with this test. As a reminder, the null hypothesis says there is no relationship between survey year and whether a respondent has ever sought health information. Our p-value is large enough that we are going to fail to reject the null hypothesis, which basically says that the proportion of respondents who sought health information across the 2 HINTS iterations didn't change significantly over the 2 surveys. So now we have successfully merged the datasets from 2 HINTS iterations, verified that all of our data is accounted for, and performed a quick statistical analysis to demonstrate how we can analyze these data. Check out the next and final video in this series to see a more advanced statistical analysis and explore how to handle missing data.
U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, National Institutes of Health, National Cancer Institute, cancer.gov, 1-800-4-CANCER, produced October 2018.